This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What is going on, and welcome to Take on the World with
Johnny.
and Mike D. We're back again.
Back in the saddle again.
So it is, as we're doing this, a couple weeks before Christmas, and I have the best Christmas sweater on ever, depicting the best Christmas movie ever, Die Hard.
Some would argue.
You can argue all you want. The argument has been taken care of because what did John McClane fly from New York City to LA for? To see his family for Christmas. It's already a Hallmark movie.
Are you serious?
He left New York to go see his family in LA for Christmas. And what is the first thing he does when he gets to LA?
It's cleaned up and there's no words or
he goes to a
anything.
Christmas party at his wife's work. Shenanigans ensue. And then, ho, 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 I got a gun.
Ho, ho, ho. 9mm Beretta, bitch.
So
MP5.
it is definitely a Christmas movie. It takes place on Christmas Eve. It is about visiting your family for Christmas. So there's no argument.
Which, by the way,
And if you feel like arguing in the comments down below, don't, because it's a Christmas movie.
I was talking to a guy the other day, and we were talking about the depressing part of Christmas, and I forget what song I mentioned. It was like a silly song, and I was like, "Well, if you think about it, I'm like, there is like that really depressing part of Christmas. It's like all your songs are like, please come home for Christmas. I want to go visit my family for Christmas," or some weird thing, and it is. It's like sad. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Holy shit, you're fucking right." And say like there is that happy / sad part of Christmas that so I'm gonna be shoving Skittles in my fucking dome for like the next 5 minutes.
Was that your phone?
No, I don't make that noise. That was somebody on your computer.
Oh,
It was probably like, don't make that phone. Like, but am I right or am I wrong?
it can be.
If you look at like
It can be.
every like, maybe we shouldn't go to this part. Come on. Baby, it's cold outside. Who's like getting turned down for sex?
But that's not what it's about.
All right, you Republican Trump supporter.
Whoa. We don't do politics. We don't do politics at all.
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's just the way you interpret things, and things are always going to get interpreted in a certain way, either one way or the other. That's going to skew whatever your vision is, and vice versa.
People see the world through the glasses they look through.
Absolutely, that fucking dude. That's yeah.
If you're someone who wants to be offended and you feel a certain way about a certain topic, that's how you're going to see the world.
Right.
I happen to not look through glasses that look that way.
Should I have not moved this far back?
I
know I'm on a half screen.
Well, it's a half screen there, dude. You're looking.
I don't care. I don't want to look at myself. I just want to make sure I'm not like
You're there.
like this. Like I just moved my mic.
You're there, buddy.
Okay.
You're not off camera.
Like, we're not airing this video.
Oh, the video's there. Oh,
Like, well, nobody's going to ever see this.
oh, people are going to see it.
It's
Oh,
in the
we've
dark
been getting
world.
tons of comments, dude.
You want to elaborate?
I do want to elaborate because someone took a lot of offense to something we said in a past video podcast about our feelings on the Detroit and Chicagoland areas. And I just want to take this moment. If you are from Detroit and Chicago and you took offense to us saying that those two areas are shitholes, I am very, very sorry that you live there.
Me too.
Because they're shitholes.
They're bad. You're a has-been.
And the fact is, I lived in Chicago for a year, so I know what I'm talking about.
I drove through Chicago once. I hated it.
I drove through Chicago many times, and I've driven through Detroit. And I have seen things that no human should ever see.
You know what? I beg you to come over here and tell us that we're a shithole. So I might just agree with you.
Yeah, there may be people that agree with you that the area we live in is horrible too, and that's just fine. I won't take offense to it. You live there, so you want to defend your place, and that's cool. I get it. Like, I understand. But I do have the right to my opinion. And since you don't know, my opinion is always right.
I love beer, sausage, and hot sauce.
Yeah. So that about ends that. That's my apology to you. I'm sorry you live there. Moving on.
Moving right along.
So you brought me a topic. You as you always do.
I always bring it, Michael.
You do bring it. And
Even though it's about 3 months at a time.
This topic I had heard about. I have seen the movie and maybe even have the t-shirt. I don't know.
No, I have not seen the movie. No, I'm glad you brought that up to me. I'm like, what? This I had heard about years ago, and then it came across my plate pretty much like last week. And I was like, fucked. I'm like, this guy's so fucked up. We got to tell this story. Like, get it out there.
Yeah. So I'll preface this by saying this is one of those stories that breaks my heart because
listen,
it's someone who is looked at as a protector of a community.
Yeah.
And he's betrayed that.
He's entrusted with, taking care of people around him.
Anytime someone in law enforcement or public service violates that oath of office, it really bothers me.
Yeah.
So, and this is one of those cases, and there's not enough time in jail or enough lethal injection to make me happy.
I'm sure even if you live in Chicago or Detroit, you could agree with us.
Even that, yeah. So, John Leonard Orr.
And I'm going to jump ahead to your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bullet point. Here we go again.
Oh, yeah.
God, really. So, continue, Michael. Sorry.
So, John Leonard Orr has had been given several nicknames due to his activities as the Pillow Pyro or the Frito Bandito. He was given the Pillow Pyro name because of the locations of setting fires inside shops, or the Frito Bandito due to starting some of his fires using potato chips, which is a Boy Scout method, using Fritos to start fires. Because if you haven't tried it, if you have Fritos in your backpack and you have some maybe some damp wood, set those Fritos on fire. It'll get your fire lit. And the coin tosser, which doesn't make any sense to me, except that it says he was incorporating coins in his incendiary devices. Don't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I get the pillow reference because he started that incendiary device in a pile of pillows in like a warehouse department or whatever, like somewhere like a Target or a Walmart, you would go, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it was back in the whatever he
It was a Kmart.
Kmart.
I think it was a Kmart. Yeah. But he often started a lot of his fires inside stores or storerooms. So obviously this guy's an arsonist. He was born in 1949, and as John lamented, he joined the U.S. Air Force in 1967.
And if you haven't followed us for a while, what is a common denominator?
The common theme of
A serial killer, any kind of killer.
Navy, Air Force,
and they had
Marines, Army. It doesn't matter.
Size 10 wing Walker boots.
Yep. So
like that. I'm not playing around. It's like very queer like that. Like,
yeah,
very weird.
It just like I don't know. I don't get it. After boot camp, he transferred to the Air Force firefighting school.
Oh, I thought they said Saipan.
No, that's stationed in Spain.
Okay.
After his firefighting school, he was stationed in Spain. And the thing was it was an Air Force base in Spain, but the fact is Air Force pilots are very good at what they do.
Fuck yeah.
They don't crash much. So there wasn't much action for him. He really, really was seeking action. He wanted to be a hero, I think. Like he wanted to put out fires, or he
wanted that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, he wanted to be a cop. He wanted to be a firefighter. He wanted to be in the thick of it, and there just wasn't any action there. So he got bored, and I would really like to know if there were any arsons set in Spain in the time that he was there.
Oh, that's a good thought.
Because they never looked into that.
No, they didn't. Well, it was never reported.
Right.
We don't know.
Truth.
I doubt there was, but that's something we could probably pull up.
I didn't find anything in my research, and I looked.
Really?
Yeah. So this dude married his high school sweetheart. In 1970, he transferred to Montana. And again, not really a whole lot of action. He received an honorable discharge in 1971. His one takeaway from the military was he really disliked being told what to do. He didn't like his commanding officers. In fact, he really didn't like anybody in authority. So, like, really, the military was the wrong place for him to be, because all you have is people telling you what to do.
Right.
So after his military service, he returned to Los Angeles. Excuse me.
Salute.
He returned to Los Angeles. So he applied to 2 police departments and 2 fire companies. Or 2 fire departments. I'm going to say fire companies. He and his wife had a daughter, and they divorced like shortly after they had the daughter.
I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. I think it's coming over. I don't know how to fucking
review.
No, I don't know how to. I got a new phone. I don't know how to fucking put this on mute. It's pissing me off.
So he was invited to take the test for LAPD. So Orr passed all of the tests with the exception of the psychological evaluation. So he was rejected from the LAPD. Then Orr was accepted to test for the LA Fire Department. So he went through the fire academy. He struggled with both written and physical tests. And he was then rejected from the LAFD. So out of desperation, Orr applied to the Glendale Fire Department, which was kind of the lowest paying department in LA County. So like it was pretty much scraping the bottom of the barrel. And there really wasn't too much action there either. He was accepted there in 1974. Now, there was really nothing saying if he did any jobs between his discharge in 71 to 74. I'm assuming he did odd jobs or this or that till then, because while he was on the fire department, because you're doing 24-hour shifts, like maybe 2 or 3 days a week, you have all this other time. So he got other jobs working at 7-Eleven.
I think he was busy out.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was
doing. Yeah.
I'm sure he was setting fires at the time, but there's no indication that happened.
But there's no proof.
No.
There's only speculation.
He worked at a 7-Eleven part-time. He worked at Sears Security part-time. In fact, as a Sears security officer, he was known by the local police and the other security officers as wannabe cop. And like they made fun of him, and they like really didn't take him too seriously. So in the meantime, he earned a carry permit, concealed carry permit. He also applied to be a fire investigator, and he was accepted. Eventually, he attained the rank of captain in the fire company. So now he's a fire investigator, and he's got more steady hours. In the meantime, he had, like, over the time of this whole thing, I think he got married 2 more times, actually stepping out on his second wife. Like, he was abandoned by his mother.
Damn, you went way into this.
Oh yeah, but he did the same thing to his wife and kid. Like, stepped out on them for a second. The second woman he married, and then like he was kind of known as like a
Your own kids.
but he was kind of known as like a ladies' man. But he wasn't an attractive man. He wasn't like a super desirable dude.
Well, he was attractive to some type of woman.
People with low self-esteem.
Yeah,
people with daddy issues.
Look up the videos of. Like, I don't know what he looked like in his younger life in the Air Force. I'm sure he's pretty. You'd have to be fucking skinny or put away in the Air Force. But after that, you start to get bigger, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I didn't know what you mean.
Me neither. Me neither. But yeah, he looked like a kind of dopey little Elmer the Fudd.
Yeah, exactly.
Like just, yeah.
So we come to 1984, the South Pasadena fire, which is October 10th, 1984 in South Pasadena, California. A major fire broke out at Ol's Home Center hardware store, locating in a shopping plaza. The store was completely destroyed by fire. In this fire, 4 people died. A 2-year-old child, the child's 50-year-old grandmother, a 26-year-old mother of 2, and a 17-year-old employee. So the next day, fire investigators from around Southern California all came, and they were investigating the cause of this fire, and it was declared to be an accidental electrical fire, with the exception of John Orr, who insisted the cause was arson. And so nobody thought anything of it then, but later on you'll find out he set this fire. He killed these 4 people. Now, nobody knows this now, but he pushed the fact that this was an arson because he really wanted recognition for his work secretly. Like, that's the only reason I could think. He could have got away with it scot-free. It would never been known.
Never said a word.
No.
Maybe pointed it in the wrong direction. But he's trying to like without bringing himself to the limelight, he's bringing himself to the limelight.
Right. And the fact is, he wouldn't have had to say anything.
Right. Because
all the other investigators said, "Bam, this was an electrical fire."
One of ours.
Yeah. Well, that comes later. But the other guy said this was obviously an accidental electrical fire.
Right.
If he had said nothing, nobody ever thought this was an arson. He pushed the fact that it was an arson. So, in fact, around that time, while he was an arson investigator, there was an unusual amount of fires that were deemed to be arson, and they were all investigated by Orr. They never found who did the arsons, but there were all these arsons, and it was thought that Orr was just so good at identifying arson that other people couldn't recognize that they were arson fires, and they were missing the signs. But Orr was so good; he had this knack for identifying arson fires. And there are people out there like that who aren't arsonists, but they're just good at identifying arson fires. And so that he was looked at as like this arson savant. And
well, I would.
It never raised a red flag.
I would like to know, like, was he the only arsonist looking at it? Because I want to jump ahead here. But if there was somebody else looking at it and be like, this doesn't make sense. What happened here doesn't make sense. Just the way the crime scene, from what we're finding, it's obvious that, well, I don't want to.
Well, which you talk about the hardware store fire or just any of the fires?
Well, I don't know much about the other fires, but I mean, yeah, the ones where they're obvious were like, and he wants to push. Well, I guess he could push it, but I'll take it back to one of these shows I was watching like previous to this, and it was a serial bomber, and the bomber ended up blowing himself up in the car. And he said when he opened his car door, the bomb fell onto the car seat floor and blew up. And they're like, well, that couldn't have happened because all the parts are showing an exit wound through a closed door. And then you have car parts in your leg, like the metal from the car in your leg. So you couldn't have had the door open. The door had to be closed when that fucker went off. And then he was like, you listen to me, or whatever. So just like kind of stupid shit like that. I don't know. I'm not an arson investigator. I wouldn't know, so I'm sure there's like,
Well, the first thing they look for is the point of origin of the fire, which was the later on he writes that book and they make the movie of it. But they also look for accelerants and all that other stuff. But
yeah,
and it has to do with burn patterns and like
right. It's like shit we wouldn't know.
I'm not a fire scientist, so but these guys are, and
right.
And you're right. These other arson investigators, how are they not seeing those signs? Is that what you're asking?
I think that's what I was asking. Like maybe they just took the guy on his. Well,
he was an arson investigator, so. Any arson in his or any fire in his district, he investigated. So he was the top authority.
Right. So you're not going to get like, unless there's a lot of issues that people are like, people are just going to take your word for it. Like, all right, he's a top fire arsonist investigator, and that's what he does.
So later on, they have a task force to investigate these arsons, and he's not on the task force, so he can't control the narrative. So with these, he's controlling the narrative completely.
Right.
So,
but I'm thinking, like, when did they decide to get this task force?
Well, we'll get to that.
300 fires or whatever. Like,
well, we'll get to it.
Yeah. So
we're at 1987 now. So in 1987, there was a fire convention in Fresno for fire investigators. So during the convention, there were several suspicious fires that were set in Bakersfield, California, which is about 110 miles away from Fresno. So not super close, but not real far either.
Right. It's especially on the highway.
Yeah. This combined with the during these fires, while they're being investigated, they recovered an unmatched fingerprint that was left on a piece of notebook paper that was used as part of the delayed incinerate device. They got no match. They couldn't find a match for it. There was nothing. But Captain Marvin Casey of Bakersfield Fire Department suspected that a fire investigator from Los Angeles was responsible for the arsons. But now you had told me when we were talking that when he said that, people are saying there's no way. There's no way one of these fire investigators from this convention went 110 miles to come over and burn something over here.
And I believe that would be the normal knee-jerk reaction.
Well, and
it's like, no way, my boy, I've known for 30 years or 20 years.
Right.
Who's been nothing but upstanding is going to do something like that.
Like I know all these guys at this convention. None of them are arsonists. Like,
right. Why would they do that? Why would they draw attention to themselves?
And I'm guilty of that with law enforcement. Like, sure. I don't want to think that anybody that I know in law enforcement ever do that. And at first I would defend them, but you show me evidence that they did, then I'm like, fuck you, you piece of shit.
Unfortunately, that does happen.
I know. But so there is this right now very circumstantial connection to fire investigators here. And I don't know how this Captain Marvin Casey made this jump, but he was ahead of his time for real.
Well, he made that jump because it was so close to
110 miles though.
But there was more than one.
But there were several fires, but they were all 110 miles away.
But what's the coincidence that they're all going to be that close to one? So it might have been just a, hey, that's kind of weird.
That's like someone saying,
what are the odds of that?
That's like someone saying, hey, we had a fire in Reading and there's a fire convention outside of Harrisburg.
Right.
Well, they must have something to do with it. You see what I'm saying?
But it's attainable. That guy could drive from Harrisburg to.
Well, Harrisburg's actually closer than 110 miles.
But I mean, yeah, it might have been like a. But again, he was shot down.
Or like someone saying there was a fire in Philly and there was a fire convention in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I don't think that point had anything to do with capturing him, or not capturing him, but.
Well, I think
pointing the guy out.
This initial suspicion, I think, played a role in it.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I think
as we go down through the evidence, you'll see where I'm coming from.
I think that it was just a thought like, hey, this guy had mentioned it, and then it just turned out to be true, and he's like, ha, I was right.
That could be too. It could have been like, I'm throwing darts at the
right.
I hit the dartboard.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I knew it.
Get the hell out of here.
I fucking told you guys so.
So we're going to 1989, another conference of fire investigators in Pacific Grove, California, and another series of arsons were committed along the California coast.
Okay, I did not know about this.
Yeah.
2 conferences?
Yes.
They only mentioned one in the thing I watched.
So this is 2 years later. By comparing the list of attendees from the Fresno conference with the list of attendees from the Pacific Grove conference, Casey was able to create a short list of 10 suspects, or was on that list.
What are the fucking odds?
Hold on. But now, so they took everybody on that list, and everybody on that list was cleared of suspicion when their fingerprints were compared to the fingerprints that Casey had recovered from the notebook paper found at the arson crime scenes. Orr's fingerprints did not match.
Yeah, that I don't understand.
Well, it's 1989. Fingerprints were still.
I know. Looking at fingerprints is a very laborious job.
Yeah, and the technology just wasn't there yet. Like
it was probably like a half print, maybe like a.
Well, they didn't say it was a partial. They said it was a fingerprint. So. Now we jump to 1990, 1991. This is where the large Pillow Pyro task force was assembled due to another series of arsons that broke out in Southern California in and around the LA metropolitan area. So it was through the task force on April 17th with improved fingerprint technology that the fingerprint that Casey had recovered was matched to John Orr. His left ring finger from a database of past LAPD applicants. So his application to the LAPD in 1971?
Yeah,
74? No, 71. I'm going back to check. Yeah, 71. He got his discharge. He applied back then. So his application in 71, that fingerprint matched.
Jesus Christ.
So they started investigating and watching Orr, everything he did. They hid a tracking device in his personal car, but it was malfunctioning. So while he was leaving another fire conference in May 1991, he found a tracking device. He didn't know what the hell it was. He thought it was a freaking bomb. So he's like, holy crap, there's a bomb in my car. So what did he do? He thought it was an explosive, rushed right to a police explosive range, called the cops, and had it removed from his car. Now, the task force panicked because, holy shit, they're going to tell him it's a tracking device. So the task force intervened, and they got there and made sure he was told it was a hoax bomb. It was fake. don't worry about it. They'll investigate who planted it, blah, 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 blah. There's nothing to worry about. It was a fake bomb. What he didn't know is that he also put a tracker which was functioning in his county work vehicle. So they'd continue to track him through his county work vehicle. They found that Orr was present at another suspicious fire. Now, this is the one you told me, where the fire was set, and you told me he left and headed home and then called the fire in. And they
I'm not sure if he called the fire in. Somebody did. However, he left the fire that he set to run home to make it look like he wasn't there.
Right.
Left, and then
tell the rest of the story, because I'll fuck it up. I don't know it.
He got the call from the 911 center or whoever. They messed up and gave the wrong address to the fire, but he leaves and shows up to the right address.
Right.
And they're like, yo, bro, how did you know this is where the fire was?
And the whole time that the task force was tracking his movements, knew he had been there prior to the fire, knew he had gone home,
right.
And knew he had gone back to the right address.
So my one thing would be like, well, if that were me, how would I get out of this? I'd be like, well, I saw the smoke. So the fucking thing must have been like not even close, where even if you like were driving from your house, you saw the fire or the smoke and drove to it, and just by happen chance, you're like, well, I was just, but who the fuck does that? Like,
well, nobody does, because after this, the federal grand jury handed down an indictment.
Yeah. So they pulled his fucking card real quick after that.
Yeah. So Orr was arrested on December 4th, 1991, and he was charged with a series of fire not related to the 1984 Pasadena old hardwood fire. So nothing for the old hardware fire yet. So
I think the way they said it's not O's or Olays. It's something weird, not Ollie's. It's,
Oli?
I can't remember.
I thought it was Oles.
You might be right. I guess I kept wanting to say, was it Ollie's? But Ollie's is spelled different, and it has an apostrophe.
We had a bus driver. His last name was spelled that way, and his name was Earl Ole.
Oles.
Anyway, so now he's arrested by the feds. He hasn't been charged by the state at all yet. So they search his home. While they're searching his home, they found a 350-page manuscript for a novel that Orr had written. So during his downtime between setting fires, he got bored. So he filled that time with writing this manuscript.
If I were an arsonist, like what's his face? OJ.
Oh yeah.
If I would have stabbed both them bastards, that's exactly how I would have done it.
So he titled the manuscript "Point of Origin: Playing with Fire," which was the story of an arsonist named Aaron Stiles, who worked as an arson investigator. One of the fires.
I don't mean to laugh at this, Aaron Stiles.
I'm telling
Aaron Stiles.
One of the fires in Orr's book had taken place at a Kmart shopping center, the same place where the pillow pyro had burnt down. Stiles preferred incendiary devices by choice, made of cigarettes and matches, put together with rubber bands, exactly how those were found in the real Californian fires. With point of origins as evidence, however circumstantial, investigators had reason to suspect Orr was responsible. So you get to the federal trial. And now this is just a federal trial. And there's a reason why they proceeded in this manner.
I can't believe, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's the only people that he killed.
I find it very hard to believe too.
Yeah.
Because in the end, well, we'll get there, but he's only tried for like 8-9 fires.
Yeah. How do you pin it all on him? There's no evidence.
But they think he set like 2,000 fires.
Yeah. How do you other than the fingerprint? and then him writing the book of the exact.
Well, the fingerprint was actually thought of as just mishandled evidence.
I don't know.
And the book was seen as very circumstantial, with the exception of the hook that got him.
I get the circumstantial, but like sometimes I just think like circumstantial evidence is like, it's right fucking there. It couldn't be any more clear.
Well,
like hang the motherfucker.
There's a reason that they put it for the circumstantial, and we're going to get to that. So after much deliberation, a federal jury in Fresno convicted Orr on July 31st, 1992, 3 counts of arson, acquitted him on 2 other counts. So now he was acquitted on 2 counts, and he was convicted on 3 counts. So he was charged with 5 fires, acquitted on 2. The federal judge sentenced to him for 30 years. Federal appeals court affirmed his conviction in 1994. Orr maintains his innocence, notwithstanding a guilty plea on March 93 for 3 counts of arson in Los Angeles after reaching a plea agreement that saw him paroled from federal prison in 2002.
Yeah, and
that would have seen him paroled in 2002.
What happened when he stopped or when he was in jail?
I don't know.
Remember I told you that?
Go ahead.
Oh, you've got to get it. You have to have it written down here.
Well, this is not the end.
Well, just keep going. Okay. I don't want to ruin it because it's the end. He
took a plea deal when it became apparent that he could not afford to mount a defense and stood little chance at trial. By November 21st, 1994, state prosecutors in L.A. indicted. Now he's getting into state charges. Indicted Orr on 4 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, 21 counts of arson for a string of fires stretching from 1984 to 2000. So I was wrong. It was 21 fires.
How does the federal charges not indict him on killing 4 people versus state charges? How does that conspire?
I don't know. There was a reason why the feds didn't and the state did.
I know a lot of stuff, and I'm not trying to say I know why, but I know a lot of, like they try and do the most to get, what am I trying to say here? It could get sticky if you want to say he did this, this, and this, and you try and charge him with it, and then he beats that rap. Now you can never go back to that ever again. So maybe they tried to just initially get him on the fires.
Well, there's a difference between the federal charges and the state charges, which I have always argued is still double jeopardy, but it's not.
Yeah,
there's federal arson cases, and then there's state arson cases, and I don't know where the double jeopardy line lies.
I don't either.
And so the lead prosecutor on the case opted to seek the death penalty in order to ensure that Orr would spend at least the rest of his life in prison. He made an off-the-record offer to Orr, accept sentence of life in prison without parole, and confess to his actions of arson in open court. I don't know what the hell that says.
The indicting officer
right here
said he would take the death penalty off the table.
Like, I don't know, open
or
court.
Turn the offer down out of.
Yeah, he turned it down. He said, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
See, now, whatever I watched, they said they didn't elaborate as much as you are. I'm not saying you're wrong or they're right and you're wrong. Oh, wait. I fucked that up. But anyways, they just ended it by saying that he got convicted of a life in prison without the possibility of parole. But there's, I understand it's a TV show and they can't go over all this shit in like an hour's time, 45 minutes time. But there is way more to it than he just got life without parole.
Oh, yeah. And I have some more down at the bottom because now in the trial, Orr's defense attorney described the notion of the book, the manuscript, as a work of fiction, using that as evidence as ludicrous. However, sections of the book were used during the 1992 trial. So,
that'd be so interesting to sit there on the sidelines and see how a lawyer would try and compare the two is like, this is Orr, this is his book. This is Orr reliving his life through his book so he can remember it and tell other people and
Yeah.
get another one off. Like, yeah, that was a fucking true story, motherfucker.
So in one of the sections of the book, the author included a fire started in a department store called Cal's, in which 4 people, including a grandmother and a 2-year-old grandson, perished.
And didn't he name the grandson?
I don't know. That could be.
He did. That thing I sent you earlier, he did name the grandson.
Okay. So that section of the book mirrored the real life fire from 1984 at Ol's home center in Pasadena, where 4 people had died, including 50-year-old Ada Deal, her grandson, 2-year-old Matthew Tridall, and then the 2 other people who died in the fire. The defense read out loud this portion of the manuscript. Quote, Aaron wanted the Cal's fire to be called arson. He loved inadvertent attention he derived from the newspaper coverage and hated when it wasn't properly recognized. Orr wrote, the deaths were blotted out of his mind. It wasn't his fault, just stupid people acting as stupid people do. In other words, they were too dumb to get out of the fire.
Right.
It's their own fault.
Yeah. No, God, that pisses me off, especially that 4-year-old kid. When I look at that, I just hate watching children get hurt, and just.
So Orr's attorney argued that the Pasadena fire was ruled an electrical blaze and dismissed manuscript as pure fiction, comparing it with the 1991 movie Backdraft, which was also written by a firefighter. So that's why they're trying to say this is pure fiction. Look, another firefighter did it, and he wasn't charged with arson.
Yeah, but he also didn't do like, hey, I burnt down an Ollie store and killed 4 people and named them exactly.
Yeah,
but my name is not John Orr; it's Aaron Stiles.
Yeah. Oh no, this story is completely different. It's Aaron Stiles, not John Orr. The prosecutor presented evidence from UCLA forensic psychiatrist who said,
"Just say UCLA."
UCLA.
UCLA.
Psychiatrist who said Orr was driven to torch buildings by a compulsion that he was powerless to control. His lawyer said he had no choice in the matter. That was not Giovanni was the defense attorney, not the prosecutor. Yet more damning evidence was presented in his book, and this is I think what hooked the jury. So Orr wrote in his manuscript that the fictional grandmother was going to take her toddler grandson out for mint chocolate chip ice cream after the trip to the hardware store, which is very specific. Very specific. Mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Sure.
Nobody
likes fucking mint chocolate.
I love mint chocolate chip.
No kids like mint chocolate chip.
This detail turned out to be 100% true.
Oh, that's fucked up.
And was only known to the child's grandfather, who was present at the store during the fire and only narrowly escaped.
I'll back this up. I like mint chocolate chip too, but I meant no. What fucking kid likes that? Is so specific. Like a kid with, I want peanut butter ice cream. But mint chocolate chip.
I want chocolate.
Yeah. If they would just said, I want to go out for ice cream, that might have been a little different, but that specific mint chocolate.
Yep. It concluded that Orr must have been in close proximity to the fire to have known such a detail. Absolutely.
So he was listening to him?
He must have.
In the store? Like,
he must have
pacing him and waiting and like,
probably heard it while he was setting the delay fuse.
Jesus Christ.
In his defense, Orr said that he had based the arson incidents of the novel on real life cases in which he had investigated, but was entirely fictional. The jury disagreed with the defense.
Oh, he was investigating him. He just didn't start the fire yet.
Well, he investigated all his own arsons.
Yeah.
The jury disagreed with the defense and found him guilty of murder in connection with the old fire. He was also found guilty of upwards of 20 other crimes, including setting blaze to the College Hill section of Glendale, which destroyed 67 homes. Now, remember that. However, in March 2000, California Appeals Court vacated 9 years of his sentence because the 67 homes, they basically, this is what they said. He said, well, yeah, he set a brush fire. His intent was not to burn down the 67 homes. His intent was to set a brush fire. So therefore, we're going to take 9 years off his sentence because he was convicted of setting fire to 67 homes, which is not what he did. He set a brush fire. But even you take those 9 years off, he ain't never getting out of jail. He's going to die in prison.
Good. Yeah, you know what? If I set a brush fire and it resulted in killing or burning down 67 homes, I'd have to eat that. Like, well, you know, I didn't mean to.
Well, he's responsible for those houses anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
It's like damage after the fact.
Start that fire.
They wouldn't be burnt down.
Exactly.
I think he deserved much more than 9 years for 67 homes lost.
Yeah. I'd like to know what kind of abuse he endured in prison.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or was it just a pussy that took PC and was like protected the whole time?
I don't know. He's still in jail. I forget which institution I told you he was in, but
how do we? I know you said we had like a birth date, so he was probably in his like late 30s, early 30s when he started doing this. When this story started.
Yeah,
because he was probably active long before this.
I'm sure he was. But they said ATF agent believes that Orr set nearly 2,000 fires between 1984 and 1991.
Oh, I'll end it with this. This is the end. So the one ATF agent said that on a yearly basis throughout the mountains of California where he was operating, there was an average of 67 forest fires every year. And then since they arrested him, on average, one a year.
Yeah. He said 90% decrease in fires after he was arrested.
So what's that tell you?
He said a lot more than 2,000.
Yeah. I think 2,000's being fucking really liberal. So,
like all pieces of shit throughout history, he's got three names: John Leonard Orr. So the movie that was out was Point of Origin with Ray Liotta.
Yeah,
it was, I think, an HBO original movie.
I've never seen that movie. I wanted to watch it, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, so that's that, man. That's.
You think they've made some kind of updates? I mean, I guess. Why would you? What are the chances of like you're gonna have multiple mass fucking murderers come up through the ranks who are arson investigators?
I don't know. So yeah, you had said, does that make him a serial killer or what? I said, I don't know. I don't think he's a serial killer, but when I looked into it, they call him a mass murderer.
Yeah.
Not a serial killer.
I think, yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense because a serial killer kind of denotes to me a more personal face-to-face one-on-one deal.
I find it hard to believe with setting 2,000 fires, he only killed 4 people.
I don't think 2,000 fires is, I think that's on the very low end.
So like, it looks like he was tried for 28 fires.
I mean, they had, when they raided his house, they had video of him casing a house that wasn't on fire, right? On his own camcorder in the woods or off on a road somewhere. And then all of a sudden he's in the same spot and the fucking thing's on fire. And then miraculously he's on the news fighting that same fire.
Yeah. Supposedly part of his book was the character was setting fires because it caused sexual arousal.
Yeah, that I that's a whole fucking different. Who knows? Yeah, you're right. But another Air Force veteran turned psychopathic killer
So, well, that's that for that. So we took on John Leonard Orr, arsonist, mass murderer, all around piece of shit.
Fredo Bandito.
Surprised he's not from Detroit or Chicago. So now you guys go out and take on the world. Don't light it on fire doing it.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.